All right, y'all, what's good? So I just finished episode 2 of It, Welcome to Derry. And I must say, man, I enjoyed it. It didn't have that feel of that first episode. I'll explain in a second. But a little overview of this episode. It carries on, obviously, after episode 1. And it follows 2 stories, just like episode 1. The first is Major Hamlin. Hanlon? Wait, is that how you say his name? Hold on. Hanlon, yeah. Major Hanlon. It follows his story a little bit more than it did in the first episode, which I liked. It definitely broke down of why he's there. Why did he have an attempt on his life in the first episode? And it showcased what the Army is really doing on base. There's something else going on that the Army's working on, and they need Major Hanlon for it. That's the best non-spoilers way of explaining what happened in episode 2. And I enjoyed that. It's very intriguing because as someone who didn't read the books, I'm figuring things out as it goes along. From what I was told, if you read the books, you can get the gist of what's happening. For the most part, they changed a few things from what I was told. But for someone like me, this is fresh, and I'm very intrigued to seeing where they go with this. I have an idea, but I'm letting it ride. One character, though, what's his name? Halloran? Dick Halloran. I believe that's how you say his name. Y'all know if y'all seen the episode. But anyway, so another soldier that's on the base that always acted weird in the first episode. Like there was something different about him. You actually start seeing more of why he's there. There's a certain ability that he has that the Army needs. And for the most part, that's all that's shown. They don't really break down everything yet. After seeing the trailer of what's going to happen in episode 3, I'm glad it looks like they're going to dive more into Dick. So, like Dick Halloran. So, I'm very intrigued, especially after learning from the breakdown video I reacted to that he was actually in The Shining as well and what he did in that movie. So to see the connections with the 2 movies, I really want them to break down more of him, of this character. So I'm intrigued with that. But also, on top of that plot, we also go back to the plot of the death of the 3 kids that happened in episode 1. So now it's the aftermath of it. The 2 surviving girls are dealing with their own issues. One of them has a father who worked in the movie studio where the kids lived in, who the cops want to throw the blame on. They wanted to throw the blame on someone to make certain people in the town feel good. They said, why not just give it to him, throw it on this one guy who obviously had nothing to do with it. He wasn't even there when the kids died, and we can go on about our day. So the daughter, the one who survived, she's dealing with her father being blamed and also dealing with a situation of her past with her mother. On top of that, the other surviving girl is dealing with people already calling her crazy with everything because of a situation that she dealt with her father in the past. So there's 3 different situations going on. Well, actually 4. Excuse me, sorry. But what was I saying? Oh, the plot points. Sorry, I had to fix something. But with the plot points, that's all the 4 that's happening. I was intrigued. They engaged them really well. They did. Now, there is something that I want to say. You notice how I didn't mention Pennywise much? Is because there's not much of him going on in this episode. This was more of explaining what's going on with this character, that character, this character. And there was little nuggets of Pennywise. There was an interesting moment with one of the daughters in her bedroom where she had this glimpse of her mother that passed away. Or the other one where her father passed away. Pennywise was messing with their mind a little bit. But outside of that, and this is the one downfall of this movie, is that it did not keep that feel of episode 1 into this one. This one was more of plot explanation. You know what I'm saying? And I liked it, but didn't like it. Because, again, this is episode 2. No Pennywise. I heard there's 8 episodes. Someone told me it's 8 episodes. So we're 2 episodes in, and we have not seen Pennywise. We've seen, like, his imaginary creations come to life, but no Pennywise. Episode 1 though didn't have them, and they executed it right to where it got you intrigued, like, oh my goodness, it had you shocked. This episode didn't have that same feel, so I was disappointed in that. And I said this before, way before this TV show started, was I hope this is not a TV show to where you start seeing little nuggets of Pennywise, but not really him, the character, until the last 2 or 3 episodes. I hope that's not the case. As much as I like this plot and I want it to keep going, I want to learn more, I want to see more of Pennywise in action as well. I said this in the last review I had. I want to see it for Pennywise. You know what I'm saying? Of course the plot, but I want to see Pennywise in action. And we got 8 episodes, and I was cool with the first episode of him not showing up because of what they did. Like, you know what I'm saying? The way they executed that first episode, I was cool. I was like, I didn't see Pennywise, but you saw what he was doing. This one didn't have that same feel. There was one part of this show that really intrigued me because it reminded me of chapter 1. And it's a scene, Major Hanlon's wife went out grocery shopping. And she was near this meat mart. And the director did it on purpose. They had her look at this hallway for like 2 seconds, this alleyway, I should say, outside. And it reminded me, I'm like, that looks like the alleyway in chapter 1. And it was, because I went back to look at the chapter 1 movie. And I was like, oh, and that meat store that she was shopping in. The guy there that was running it was acting a little weird. I don't want to spoil anything, but he was acting a little weird. And you know something's going on in that meat house. And then if you go back to chapter 1 and you saw this one kid, he saw this door opening at this meat house and his hand's trying to get out. And it doesn't. It gets trapped. And Pennywise is in there. There's some relation to that. I don't know 100%, but I know there's something going on in that meat house that was being teased in chapter 1. And I think this TV show is really going to open the book of everything there. That was something I just caught. They don't say anything. That's one thing I do like. They have you figure it out for yourself. They ain't going to just give you everything. Like, here, this is where this is from. This is where this is from. No, you just have to remember from watching the movie and seeing that scene. I was like, that looks so familiar. So I went back and saw the episode. I was like, oh, interesting. So we might get a little side story of what's going on in that meat house, because I ain't gonna front, the butcher there, he was kind of weird. It was a situation that was going on, and even Major Hamlin's wife was looking at him like, you ain't gonna fix this situation? And he was just, but I'm being very vague of because I ain't trying to spoil anything if you didn't see it yet. But overall, it was a good episode. It just didn't hit the same way. That shock value of what Pennywise is doing didn't happen the same way in this one. So, good on the plot. Good with the little callback to chapter 1. I really hope they dig more into that. I hope that's not a little something they just show and then move on. I want them to unravel what was going on. Why in chapter 1 those hands was trying to get out. That butcher did something. And I hope they dive into it. But when it comes to the scenery of Pennywise, him showcasing himself, him doing more, like, to the kids or the people of Derry, that part was disappointing. I come to see him first and foremost, and then the plot. So, is it a bad episode? Absolutely not. I was just as disappointed when they went to the credits. I was like, oh, that's the end? Like, it was a different feel. When the first episode ended, I was like, when the second one ended, I was like, dang it. Little disappointed at that. You do see Pennywise eyes, like, in the shadow. You see him, like, open his eyes for, like, a second. You don't see him, like, his whole face. It's this little shadow moment, but that's about it. That's, like, for 1 second. Yeah, I hope that's not the case, though. As good as it is, I enjoyed that episode, but I want to see more Pennywise in action. I want to have that feel that I had in episode 1. Even if Pennywise is not there, it's something that makes you be like, oh my goodness. I didn't feel that way at all in this episode. This was more information. So, yeah. I would say that episode 1 was a 10 out of 10. This one, I'll say a 7 out of 10. Yeah, not having Pennywise in action and not having that shock value that episode 1 had really put some points down. But it's a 7 because I think the episode was still good. So yeah, I'll end it with that. Hopefully episode 3 picks up a little more with the terror of Pennywise. And not only do they just mess with people's minds, because that's one thing Pennywise does mess with a couple people, like the kids who survived, their minds for a little bit. I want to see more, like, not only do I want to see that, but I want to see him execute. You know what I'm saying? See what he does now. I want to see him on screen. I want to see Bill Skarsgård on screen. Like, I think he's great as Pennywise. So, yeah, hopefully that'll happen. But I like where they're going. I ain't gonna front. I'm enjoying, like, the storyline and everything. Someone who doesn't know the books. And I still think it's cool to have a character from The Shining in here. I did not know until I saw that breakdown that Stephen King has some references and sometimes some characters from other movies into the another project. I did not know that. Anyway, Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all for episode 3.